Fans know that we're going live. Alright. I think we're more or less good to go. Alright. Welcome to the stream, boys and girls. Today we're going to be going over RunAway versus T1w. The first map will be Lijiang Tower. Match I'm pretty excited to go over. Both these teams, if I remember correctly, T1w performed pretty well, and I think RunAway did as well. Well, I know obviously RunAway performed very well, but T1w is the team I'm specifically interested in. Okay, get your bit, boys. We gotta pause. Too far. Alright, so let's go ahead and give a brief breakdown of the compositions that we see being run here. Alright, look at the team compositions on both sides. We have RunAway running goats, and on the other side we have T1w running a... Okay, I've actually never seen this comp before. Okay, so they're running a Pharah Doomfist DPS, and they're running a solo tank Winston, and the triple support backline, but with a Mercy Lucio. Huh. Okay. This is a composition I'm not familiar with. I think it's the first time I've ever seen it be played. That being said, it is very interesting. It's basically like a split committal dive. So your Lucio Bridget kind of play around with your Winston as a death ball, and then the Doomfist plays a flank angle to engage. Your Pharah playing above spamming with Mercy pocketing the Pharah. My assumption on how they're going to play it. On the other side, we have RunAway running classic goats, so of course they're going to be pathing that, bring the fight to point from there. It's important to go into white first rather than going bridge, because if you go bridge, you risk getting booped off the map. We all know is something you don't want to have happen. Getting booped off the map is pretty terrible. So expect for RunAway to path into white. Once they're in white, they'll wait for the point time to get low, and then they'll cross to point and look to play the objective, forcing the team to pass them. That's a very interesting composition. Really wasn't expecting this. I suppose I should note, this is a blind review. I've not watched the game beforehand. The extent of me looking at these games was seeing what the map order was and being like, alright, cool. Got it. Okay. They're playing this pretty similar to how I expect. RunAway, like I said, is just gonna wait for the point to unlock, and the Pharah from T1w is just gonna try to spam and get ult as fast as possible. Doomfist gets Doomfisted. It's always good to play Doomfist and Hammond. I like those two characters that you really want to play Ana against, just because of the fact that you're able to punish them so hard with purples and sleeps. If either of those characters, Doomfist or Hammond, get purpled or slept, they're basically gone. Very hard to keep them alive unless you use resources to do so. Wow, as far as play is actually really impressive. Okay, so like, I suppose the reason I said that is, like, if you look here, he's not afraid to be aggressive, right? Like, he realizes that there's not a lot that can kill him on the side of RunAway since he has a pocket. So he's playing like very aggressive angles and playing very low to the ground, just hard spamming, like almost shotgunning even. And then as soon as he sees the bubbles go down, he's like, oh wait, I can just barrage here. Just barrages. Does a good job of looking away to not get punished by the Demon Mag. Then rotates back to point, and again, you see just like how aggressive he's being. Very low to the ground, applying a lot of pressure. He's already, yeah, very good Pharah play. That being said, it's a good job from RunAway to restabilize to the point when they're down players. T1w rushes the re-engage and gets punished because of it. So like, right here, right? RunAway's in a split fight. Stitch gets no value because he has no charge, so he's basically a wet noodle. He bubbles both players to try to get charge and cover their engage. The barrage comes in. So right now it's a 6v6. Axel is going to die and Jen is going to die. So then it'll be a... Oh, and the Bridget from T1w. So it'll be a 5v4 in favor of T1w in a second here. Yeah, okay, so it's a 5v4 right now. So theoretically, all T1w has to do is just pressure their way to point, but don't rush it. Just like heal up, walk together to point, apply pressure, and look to win off that. But Nano Zarya is a very scary thing, and the Lucio gets purpled and is overextended. Winston gets zapped, and dies. So a bit of a misplay from T1w there on the retake. They had every opportunity to win that fight and kind of threw it away. Interesting to see that Haxel sticks on the Bridget instead of flopping. They assume the reason he's doing for that is to help, two parts, is to help counteract the Doomfist, and to help deny the Winston space. Since RunAway, yeah, they can make aggressive plays. So since RunAway is running the Lucio, right? They can be hyper aggressive with speed and just speed onto people, which combos very well with Bridget, because Bridget can just run at somebody and stun them then, and then Lucio's with you with speed, so they can't really get away and they just kind of die. The stream dropping frames? Dropping frames. Anyway, so seeking Bridget is to help counter the Doomfist and help punish the solo tank, because if there's only one tank and you run them with speed onto them and stun them and kill them, then the other team basically is just like, well, I guess we lose. T1w is still very split. I kind of get what they're going for, but I think if they wanted to better play around the Pharah to help counter RunAway's goats, they should have ran triple DPS instead of triple support, just to get to more damage. From that guy, thanks for the follow. RunAway doing a good job, but this is pretty okay. I was gonna say that's really, really too aggressive from Twilight there to be out that far. You're not gonna kill the pocket of Pharah. That's a big punch. Take everything back I said about the Pharah getting value. Lucky. This is actually getting like such huge value now. Like now that he's high charged during these fights, like a high charge Zarya during a stagger fight is so scary. Oh, until he gets gooped off enough. Wait, what? How did he screw that up? You gotta go back and analyze this. You can't miss that. Okay, so we have him spamming at the choke. This is all fine. This is almost up to his Grav, so they'll be looking to combo Grav Diva for this fight. They'll use B to sustain. On the other side, T1w is going to be coming in and trying to make a play with Primal Barrage, probably. And then Doomfist ult if absolutely necessary. It's 65%, so they really want to win this fight. If they don't win this, it's really hard to capture, because it's really hard to retake as far to begin with, and especially later in the percentages. Okay. Oh, the Pharah Mercy gets grabbed. That's why they barrage. Okay. Grabbing Pharah Mercy, worth. Say this to my dying day, that grabbing Pharah Mercy is almost always worth as long as you actually hit the grab. Especially as your goats. Like, if you're goats and you grab a Pharah Mercy somewhere where your tanks can kill him, it's actually huge. Oh, okay, so he just gave up because he thought that he was going to fall off, but it's just airstrafed and was fine. That's really unfortunate. Oh, if the railing wasn't like, he would have been dead. Crazy. Yeah, okay, so really clean point overall from RunAway. T1w ran an interesting comp. I think the idea of it as a rollout comp was fine, but I think trying to retake with triple support single tank Pharah is just, or sorry, triple support single tank kind of Pharah. This was really awkward. Like, Pharah's not good into retake, solo tank isn't good into retake. Like, there's just like so many various factors that went into that not being a good idea for a retake. Yeah, so in general, I think probably T1w should have swapped their comp to retake. Either swap to Amir Goats or just go Doom Sombra and Alicia, Winston Diva, and just play the trade backlines. Since RunAway's backline wants to be playing grouped anyways, your backline shouldn't be getting traded. Okay, coming on to the next point, we have... Hey! Comp looks somewhat familiar. Okay, so RunAway is running Goats again, but this time they're running a Moira instead of Ana. The reason for that is on this particular map, most of the time as Goats you want to be fighting on the point here. And if you're fighting on the point, the only real spots to play as Ana are on the left, the right, and behind, depending on your angle, of course. But those three angles, right? But all of them are outside, which means you can be booped by like everything. So Ana's pretty sketch, because if you want to play Ana and live on this point, you have to play on the point, which means you are very exposed. So most teams default to running the quote-unquote suboptimal Moira, just because it's a little bit safer, and it's harder to punish you if you're sitting on point, as compared to Ana, who's a lot easier to punish on point. On the other side, T1w is running a very familiar composition for all of us. They're running the Doom Sombra DPS duo, the Winston Diva tank line, and then the only substitution they made is they're running a Bridget Lucio instead of running a Ana Lucio or a Zen. Okay, so what this would imply to me is that they are looking to be playing very aggressive, right? Because you don't have enough heals as T1w. Like, you just objectively don't have heals, so you have to make the fight incredibly fast. That being said, their initial burst potential is very huge, because the Bridget can armor the Doomfist before he even goes in. So Doomfist will be like 400 HP by the time he lands if he hits like a good ability, which is very, very hard to kill. Not to mention you also have Lucio speeding in with the rest of the team so that they can get Bastion, combo Bastion to kill. So, very aggressive composition coming out of T1w. I expect their Sombra, hopefully, to play flank angle. She should be, like, coming through, like, Doodles, applying pressure on the side or something. But definitely should be playing a flank from the Sombra, trying to get a hack off to enable their engage. Yeah, they play it. Okay, so RunAway doing the right thing and playing to point. RunAway playing to point here is really smart because they want to limit the angles that T1w can engage from, right? Because if you don't want a team that is playing for engages to have different angles to engage on you from. Because if you do, you allow that team to punish you more easily, right? So if you're positioned here, they can come like this, that, and that, right? Like all three of those angles onto you. Then you have to watch this, right? Like that's where your attention sphere has to go. But if you're also facing a team who can path in and take you like that, or like that, then you also have to watch these angles as well, right? There's a lot more that your attention is being divided onto. So when possible, as a death ball composition, or really any composition in general, but specifically death balls, you want to limit the amount that you have to pay attention to as much as possible, right? So you want to decrease the flanks that you have to deal with. T1w swapping over to the Hammond makes sense. Okay, so they swapped to Pharah. Pharah retake is hard, but the point hasn't been taken yet, so it's not as hard. Hammond is incredibly good against goats. 10 out of 10 would play again. Very strong character into that composition. Sombra, still good against goats. Zen is being played for the Discord to help burst targets faster. And the Mercy, of course, is to pocket the Pharah. The only issue T1w has here is they have to be very careful with their engage. If they scuff up an engage, they won't get a second one, assuming RunAway doesn't play like Marvel Blitz. So what should happen is Pharah will be sitting here poking like a madman. Sombra will get a hack on something, then we'll get the Discord on something. The Hammond will int in, right? That's basically the order of how this is going to engage. And then Devo will help to peel for the Hammond to get him out so he doesn't die. That's their basic idea, right? That being said, as soon as this happens, Hammond's going to be like that on HP, right? Which means the Mercy has to stop pocketing the Pharah to heal the Hammond. And as soon as that happens, the Pharah is free. If the Pharah is at all aggressive, she dies. If the Pharah is not aggressive, then RunAway just speeds onto the Diva and kills the Diva. So T1w has to be very careful here with how they take this fight. Because they do need to engage, but they need to be very careful with how they engage. Okay, so this is good from T1w. This is like exactly what we talked about. They go in, they don't get value, they instantly back up. That being said, Twilight overextends, gets picked. That's good. Ooh, that was close. Having the Hammond go in there first kind of makes sense. You just wants to see if he can get like huge value so they don't have to EMP. But he doesn't end up getting value and almost dies, so they have to EMP. At this point, this fight is just a one fight for T1w. Very good retake from them, actually. They played that basically exactly how I wanted them to. They went in a little bit. They're like, eh, maybe not so much. And then they backed up, and they're like, okay, we're good. And they're like, eh, maybe not so much. And then they backed up, and they're like, okay, we're good. And they waited for somebody to overextend and feed, and then they played off of it. A lot of playing counters against goats is just waiting for goats to do something stupid and then punish them for it. Like, oh, their Moira just fed, or oh, their Ryan doesn't have shield anymore, let's kill the Ryan. You know, it's just like, it's stuff like that. You have to be playing very patiently playing against them. Rush doesn't get value? I mean, I guess it gets value. He gets kill in the mech. That's good. The only issue with playing Fire into Goats is that you have to trade efficiently with Barrage, right? Like, Goats is just such a naturally more sustainable comp than yours that you have to end up trading like 2 for 1 at a minimum with Barrage in order to get value. Because for the most part, you're not going to be able to res the Pharaoh, right? You're going to have to trade favorably. Really good fight so far from T1w. They started off with a decent Barrage. Okay, so going into this fight, T1w's win condition is a Barrage, right? If they don't get value with Barrage, they're going to have to be playing for a Diva Bomb or something. So Barrage gets decent-ish value. They trade 1.5 for 1, which isn't super good, but it's not super bad either. At this point, RunAway realizes that, hey, we can just kind of kill them. They don't have anything to kill us. You don't have a damage dealer if you don't have Pharah, so they go point. Good engage there. That was actually a really good play. It only didn't work because Stitch had bubble up. We look right here. Yeah, okay, so Stitch got bubble, save himself. But This play is really smart. So what they did was they threw a Diva Bomb deep, and then had the Hammond boop the players out of the Rhine shield, so that the Rhine couldn't shield efficiently. It was a good idea of a play. That was a really huge strike. Okay, so a lot of ults were used on side of T1w, but they managed to hold the point, which is the important part against Goats. Is you want to not surrender the point. Because you can build your ults, theoretically, as long as you just keep the point alive, you'll be fine. The Pharah from T1w really needs to be building Barrage as fast as possible here. On the other side, RunAway is playing Bumper on Soldier. Okay. Alright, so they're going solo tank Hammond, which makes okay sense. Not really sure what they're doing here. The Doom Sombra makes sense to me. Doom Sombra is just really good at punching low ground targets, right? You hack a tank, you kill the tank. I'm assuming they switched Bumper onto Soldier to apply an extra threat angle and to shoot out the Pharah. Why they didn't have Stitch go Soldier or Kree just run Kree counter dive, I don't know, because Kree counter dive is also really good, but you never know. Sometimes Bumper just goes Soldier. Sometimes it works too. Okay. Or you know, boys. Oh wait, maybe it doesn't work. There's Barrage too. Yeah, he's gonna kill Bumper for it. He's 6 Soldier because he has Visor? There's no way he's 6 retake, right? Nice. Wonder if this is like an actual composition they play, or if this is just like a one-off where they're like, hey, I'm gonna go this, you go that. Because like, if you look at it, right, like RunAway's playing very default compositions. This is like, okay, so I'll actually take time to talk about this matter. Okay, so RunAway as a whole, right, has been playing very default composition. Now, there's obviously a few reasons for this. One of them is they're trying to get into OWL as a group, so they don't want to be giving up information that is unnecessary, right? They don't want to be giving free scouting to teams in the free. So because of that, they're playing very default compositions that you expect to see a lot of, right? They're playing the Ghost, they're playing the Doom Sombra, they're playing the whatever, you know, Kree counter dive. Like, those are the 3 main compositions they're playing, which are all very popular compositions, so it's no surprise to see them playing them, right? You're not going to really be giving anything away by playing those. So what I'm curious about is why they decided to run this composition. Was this composition run because they didn't want to give scouting information away from a better comp that they have that better counters T1w's comp? Or was this the counter comp to T1w's comp that they just didn't want people seeing, but they gave up and just ran it because they don't want to drop a map? It's a very confusing point. Not really sure why they did it, but nonetheless, it's an interesting comp. I mean, it makes sense in theory, right? Like, EMP Visor's a good combo. Hammond does a good job as solo tank. He can disrupt really well and get out. He is played in a flanking style anyways. Like, you almost always want your Hammond just doing his own thing by himself with the team engaging after he does. And the Lucio Ana backline is pretty good at trading and sustaining, particularly against Hammond. And Lucio is really strong against Hammond because you just, like, kite back his engage and keep him as he lands. Holy... Video, please. Why is my video dying? Oh, it wasn't my video, it was their video. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. He's a big debate, dude. Ooh, Stitch not getting found there. Actually big. Okay, so coming into this next fight, RunAway is just gonna have their Hammond int and use ult, and then Lucio will beat to help everybody keep alive, or to help keep everybody alive. Double support ults from T1w. Not the best. Wait, they actually kill him too. That's insane. Illusion dying there is really bad. Trading out favorably though, so doesn't? Unless Stitch carries here? Wow, wait, Stitch is actually carrying. Wait, Stitch touch? No! Okay, so Stitch almost carried. Yo, what's up, pizza? That was a really interesting composition. I don't know. I'm really curious as to why RunAway chose to run that there. Like, I don't know. I'm just gonna, like, that comp doesn't make sense. Like, well, I should do. It makes sense, but not in a way that RunAway would play it, right? Like, RunAway typically doesn't play that style of composition, so I'm assuming that was more of a counter strat. Okay, back to looking at compositions. RunAway is running Goats for the 3rd time in a row. Liu Jing, by the way. Okay, so they have an interesting split. They have their players going through dark there and then walking into white instead of going through mega to white. I guess it makes sense. They're just playing to not get Maywalled basically, which is good scouting on their part, assuming that they knew that there was May coming. If not, it was just good precaution. On the other side, T1w is running Ren Zarya with Sombra May. They're basically running the anti-goats. They're going to try to get hacks into a purple, and then they use May walls as an engage condition. So T1w is looking for hacks, purples, and May walls. Those are the three things they're going off of. And we'll see how they manage to do that. Of course, on the other side, RunAway's playing to not get Maywalled, hacked, or purpled, and then just rush down the Reinhardt and kill him. Whenever you have more tanks to the enemy team, you just want to kill the main tank, because main tanks are the linchpin in not dive comps. Well, even dive comps are pretty important too, but particularly in Rhine-based compositions, if you kill the Rhine, the team basically can't do anything. Particularly in a goats versus anything matchup. Like, if you just kill the Rhine, if you as a goat team kill the Rhine on the other side, you're just free. You get free purples, you get free pins, you get to do everything you ever wanted. It's very, very hard to punish. Very fast EMP, but I don't think it's going to get value. Yeah. It was a very fast EMP, but I would like to see them hold it there, because, like, at the point when the EMP... Oh, here, I'll remind it. Okay, so right here, didn't even fight. Diva loses mech, which is big. What's up, Mer? This is like a big hack by them, right? They get the mech. That's really good. He almost has EMP. They also almost have Shatter, right? So, if Ryan didn't just int for no reason here, the play would have been to combo EMP Shatter, but the Ryan ints. So at this point, you're already down 2 players. You don't have main heal. Like, you just shouldn't EMP this fight. But it's super lost. Like, even if you think you're trading because they have Baby Eve and you just killed Bridget, like, you're still gonna lose this fight. Like, Goats has 2 healers alive and 2 tanks. The 3rd tank about to mech. Like, you're not winning that fight. So definitely should have held the EMP there and waited for next fight and then gone in with the EMP Shatter as a super easy win condition. Or even you can EMP grab. They have that too. They could EMP grab, they could EMP Shatter, they could grab Melt. Like, they have so many combos going into the next fight if they don't throw away EMP there. It makes it like so much easier for the next fight. You can even combo 3 ults to win the fight just to deny them their ult tempo. Not even that bad of a play. Oh, Twilight almost gets it. Okay, so this is a really scuffed play from RunAway, and they should have been punished for it, but T1w doesn't really punish them. So, to start, Sombra gets slapped, which is absolutely insane. How does she get slapped? She's shooting? Yeah, she's shooting. Okay, so she starts shooting the Ana. Ana sleeps her. It's in a really scuffed position. They Mailty and Shatter at the same time. Mailty, not the greatest ult to combo with nothing. Particularly when you almost have grab. Definitely should have held it for the grab. Shatter gets value, but they also beat the Shatter, so it doesn't get value. And then Crystal just extends it to the middle of Africa and dies. Just TMP and win wall. Yeah, basically. Okay, so T1w on this map just like literally forgot what ult economy is and just decided to throw. Not really sure why, but if they could stop throwing with their ult economy, that'd be great. They need to be comboing their ults, not just like randomly wasting them. Like okay, like look at their comp, right? Like we have Sombra, we have Ryan, we have Mei, and we have Zarya, right? Now, theoretically, you'd want to combo Mei and Zarya because one sucks them all together and one freezes them, right? So you suck them all together and then you freeze them. On the other side, you have a Shatter, which can be blocked by shields, and a character that can unblock shields. And instead of comboing these 2 sets of ults, they're just like throwing the ults one by one or comboing with the other one that doesn't make sense to use with it. Very awkward engages from T1w. For this next fight, they're really scuffed. They just need to play together, hope that their Nano Ryan gets an insane amount of value, or hope that their Zarya gets charged, then Nano Zarya, and hope she gets a grab. Then play off with either the grab or the Shatter you get. On the other side, RunAway is just, yeah, RunAway's gonna do this. They're gonna be very aggressive in the choke and just not let you get any idea of what to do. A huge thing that teams don't really look enough into is which team is setting tempo. You can see this in like every single match of Overwatch played almost ever at a lower than OWL level, is that as soon as a team loses tempo, they're unsure what to do, and they become very disorganized. You want to have easy victories, just control the tempo of a match. As long as you're controlling the tempo of the match, you'll be fine. But what we see here is RunAway is setting the tempo and controlling the pace, whereas T1w is just responding to it. They're ulting reactionarily, they're not making aggressive plays, they're not trying to do anything to force RunAway to do something. Like here, they're already in choke before their Sombra touch point. Like you'd want your Sombra touching point and then to walk to choke. Because that way you're not going to get shattered because they have to send at least a resource to go deal with Sombra. Wait, is she just not going to touch point? Hello? Hello? Sombra? Okay, so Sombra uncloaks on point, or sorry, Sombra cloaks on point and walks off point, and then doesn't touch. Ever. Oh, he dies. Okay, that's why. I was very confused for a second there. I was like, why didn't Sombra touch? Because he died. Alright, good job, Kellyan. You're a genius. Alright. Moving on to the next map, we have Bonnie. Bonnie's a great map. I like this map. This map hasn't been played in literally forever because it's like never in a tournament, so I have no idea what meta compositions are. I would assume on defense the Torb comp's still pretty strong. Hey, speak of the devil. I'd also assume that Creep counter dive. Both of those comps I think will probably be really strong here. You kind of just like set up on high ground and just deny the enemy team any space. You could probably also run the Doom Sombra comp, but it'd be a little bit more interesting to run because you'd have to be very aggressive and looking more for like spawn holds rather than point holds, which of course expose yourself to C9s. And as we all know, I am in love with the C9. Okay, so RunAway is indeed running the Torb strat. I'm just gonna wait until we see what T1w is running and then I'll pause. We'll go over the comps. They're actually running this again. Okay. Okay, so New Bonnie is a very Pharah favored map. This is like one of the only maps in the game where Pharah is actually really good for first point. Because Pharah is just not really a good hero. But regardless, Pharah is pretty good here. So T1w made the swap that I was talking about, where they decided to run triple DPS instead of triple support. Good on them. That being said, they're running Bridget Mercy, which is like one of the worst healer combinations in the game. I think, probably. Yeah. Okay, so the idea here for T1w is they want their... Yo, thanks for the follow, pizza. Yeah, okay, so the idea for T1w here is they want their Bridget to anchor cart. She's gonna be sitting on cart doing nothing basically the entire game, just sitting there flailing around, waiting for somebody to try to fight her. And then randomly armor packing the Sombra, Genji, and Winston as needed, hopefully. Maybe the Pharah and Mercy, obviously, but predominantly she's gonna be heal packing the flankers. The Mercy is going to be hard pocketing the Pharah and the Winston. And that's about it. That's their entire plan. They'll have Pharah carry, Winston will make space, Genji will dash. Hopefully the combo of those three things will kill something and then they win the fight. On the other side, RunAway's comp, which is an amazing comp. This has been played in the Korean scene for forever. I think this is basically like the default on this map for Korean teams. It's a very generally solid, strong comp, right? They have the Pharah DPS who can play angles. She'll be spamming. Mercy to pocket the Pharah, right? So they play together. The Orisa and Torb sit together and have a nice, beautiful little shield that protects the turret, and Torb gets value. Torb can also play his turret like over there on the low ground, or there where he currently has it. Those are like the three big Torb spots. Ignore that X. Let's go. Okay, so Torb can play his turret up there on the staircase. You can play it there on the shield where he's currently playing it. You can play it there on the low ground. Those are like the three main Torb spots for turrets on this map. Torb in general on this map is actually really strong. If you win first fight with RunAway's comp, you're basically going to snowball the entire point. The only way to break RunAway's comp after they win first fight is to commit like 6 ults to win the fight, which means that the rest of your streets and third point phases are going to be very weak because of that. Not to mention you theoretically buy enough time. RunAway's comp basically just wants to buy time for as long as possible, right? So if they win the first fight, they're going to have a very good chance of snowballing. And if they end up snowballing, they're going to force ults in order for the other team to have a chance of winning. Okay, so Fair's doing a good job of just setting up a flank angle. Wow, she's going for the flank of a sentry here. Okay. The only problem with going for the flank of a sentry as a Pharah is you're running Bridget Mercy heals, which means then your team only has Bridget heals now. And Bridget can also just be poked out because she doesn't have self-heal really. So, kind of sketch. Yeah, we see, like, yeah, the Bridget has to go get a Mega. Pharah does end up getting behind. They get Stitch. I think it's a little bit too little too late. Yeah, they just get the res off. Not gonna get value now. Okay, so, like we said, the entire purpose of RunAway's comp is to win the first fight and they're fine. T1w is unnecessarily staggering themselves here. Okay, good, they get out. No, JK, they don't get out. Oh wait, no, that's the fire. Okay, the Genji does get out. That was a very confusing perspective. Okay, so T1w's composition didn't break RunAway's on the first point hold, which in turn means that Stitch almost has Molten Core, Twilight has Nano. They do swap Bumper over to Winston to get him back faster because he died, but this comp is still fine for RunAway. Like, they just slightly change how they're playing it, right? Like, the tanks start up above right here on the high ground, and then they can counter dive. Torb turret can be wherever. He can just rotate freely and play like a flank angle and just surprise people with turret and then a random like super damaging headshot. Twilight's gonna look to nano the Winston here, so Anna will nano Winston on the side of RunAway. Then on the other side, they're praying for a carry blade and putting all their resources in the carry blade. So if Crystal doesn't get insane value, they're going to lose. So basically what we expect to have happen here is Mercy will damage boost, Bridget will armor, Sombra will hack something to help him, and then they'll pray that he gets like a 6k. And hopefully they do it before Molten Core gets up, because if they have Molten Core, you basically can't blade. Because everybody's just gonna turtle, everyone on RunAway's team will just turtle by the turret, who's a squishy, then you just can't kill him because there's a Molten Core turret sitting there shooting you as you're trying to blade people. It's a very scary situation for players. It's actually a really good turret from Stitch there. So they put the turret early so that it spots people as they path in, which means they have to take the time to destroy the turret before they path, which means that Stitch will get closer to getting an ult. Bumper does a good job of just being very aggressive with the zone. Wow, okay. Couldn't rewind this. This is actually a really good fight on both ends, and some very major misplays that ended up punishing them. Okay, so initially, we'll look at the turret placement. Turret placement here is good. The reason he placed it here is he almost has ult, so he wants to place the turret aggressively so that it gets as much ult as possible. Once he gets like 95% or the turret dies, he needs to move the turret there or up there if he's still on the high ground. But one of those two angles is where he needs to move to. Maybe he's inside this room here. But he needs to turn on one of those three angles as fast as possible to help to protect for Molten, or to use for Molten to protect for Blade, right? Okay, next thing we want to look at is they nano Bumper and have him engage very early, which is good. Like we talked about last map, they want to be setting tempo, right? So they drop, play aggressive, they try to zone the Genji. All of this is good so far from RunAway. On the other side, Crystal's just playing slow, building his blade. Nothing really to note. Right here, turret goes down. Stitch needs to have new turret up by now. They nano the Winston. During this time, Stitch should be placing a new turret. Bumper starts pressuring forward. He doesn't shoot Crystal. This is the first misplay on RunAway side. They have a nano Winston. There's a Genji sitting in front of the nano Winston, but the Winston's chasing something else instead of shooting the Genji. The nano Winston should be hard focusing the Genji here to deny him from getting a blade off, right? Like we talked about earlier, T1w's heals are really scuffed, right? If they have to put all the resources into keeping their into keeping their Blade and Genji alive, then they won't have resources for everywhere else, right? And if you force those resources ahead of time with Nano Winston onto the Genji, he's not gonna be able to blade. Another side, Stitch's turret dies again really early, which is bad, and the Pharah walks in and shotguns Axel, also very bad. Mercy reses, but doesn't have protection from the D.Va because the D.Va's busy saving somebody else and dies for it. Another misplay there. Stitch pops Molten to try to keep the Mercy alive, doesn't get value. At this point, it's just a wiped fight. So, RunAway started off that fight with everything in their favor, and they managed to youth it up and throw through various mispositionings and misplays. Are they recontesting? They're recontesting. Okay, so Haxel goes in and recontests. Twilight dies during his recontest. Bumper dies. Yeah, okay, they're not gonna win this fight. Okay, so RunAway swapping comps, which they should be doing, or at least partially swapping their comp. They get Stitch off the Torb, he goes on to Kree. Fine. Oh, okay. Interesting composition from RunAway. They're just like half swapping. I'm assuming they're going to try to get value out of Valk and Barrage and then swap those two. T1w's taking their comp on attack, which is fine. Street's phase is all about snowballing. They just need to make sure that they continue keeping their momentum. They want to be setting tempo aggressively. They want to be actively making sure that they control the Street's phase, right? They don't want to get the snowball stopped. The Streets is very important to snowball during, so even if that means that T1w has to over-ult to win fights, they should make sure to be winning fights. If you lose a fight in Streets, it's very hard to finish. For most teams. Some teams are really good at Streets phases and understand how to play it, but for the most part, most teams have a hard time of capitalizing on Streets. Job of getting the Stagger onto the Mercy. Yeah, okay, so far, really good job from T1w. Coming into this next fight, they're going to be looking to the Blade. Really heads up play from RunAway, swapping to the counter dive comp with Kree. Good play. Brig, very good into Genji. Brig and Kree both have stuns, and getting a blade with value is very hard when you're getting double stunned, because they just die, theoretically. Twilight going Ana instead of Zen, I really like. Zen is better for Kree counter dive if they have tanks, right? Like, if they have something that you can walk at, stun, and blow up, then Zen is really good, because you can walk at, stun it, discord it, blow up, and it dies really fast. But, excuse me. But, as with T1w, they're only running a single tank, so discord doesn't get a huge amount of value. But, they're running a lot of low HP targets that can all be purpled and die instantly, basically. So, running the Ana is basically to increase your sustain against a dive and to purple whatever dives you so that you can kill it faster. Because in this particular situation, purple's actually more value than Blade in once, gets stunned and dies. Playing Genji into Kree counter dive is basically impossible, unless your Genji is literally a god. And even then, it's still pretty hard. You know, it's not because, yeah, you're not wrong. I don't know. RunAway typically doesn't value their ults that much, though. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that, because they literally just valued Farm Mercy ult for no reason. Okay, T1w with a heads-up swap to go Widow. Widow is a pretty good counter. Kree comp, because again, if Kree comp is all about engaging on you, you play long side angles, you play around your Widow, and your Widow gets value. They swap to a tradable backline though. Okay, so what I expect to have happen for T1w is they're playing to trade backlines. So their Winston Diva will go in, and the remaining 4 players will just sit in the back and try to not die. Just pocket the Ana basically. And have the Ana of T1w, you'll be pocketing the 2 tanks as they go in. Then the rest of them will be sitting together in the back playing to live. Just playing to trade basically. On the other side, RunAway, same idea as before, but this time without a discord, so they're going to be trying to purple. So they're going to be running at tanks, discording tanks, or not discording tanks, sorry. They're going to be running at tanks, stunning tanks, and hopefully purpling the tanks to kill them. Okay, so those are really heads up bubble. Wait, no, that wasn't even their bubble. What? Okay, I lied. I guess they're just goobers. Okay, so this is all fine so far. Like, just RunAway posturing, playing out of sight lines, getting scouting information done. Winston jumps deep by himself, Lucio boops, Diva boops, and he gets bursted and dies. That is not what you want to have happen. Okay, so they trade Winstons, but Axel manages to get the end at the same time, so it's way more value for RunAway, obviously. If you're playing the backline trade comp, like, you have to commit there, right? Like, both teams, like, you just saw this, right? Like, okay, so RunAway obviously will have more burst damage when you're diving their backline, right? Because they're running, well, okay, sorry, they won't obviously have more burst damage, they'll have more consistent damage, right? Because they are running the Bridget, they're running the Kree, they're running an Ana, right? And Lucio too. I don't know, dude. So when you're diving RunAway's backline, you need your Winston Diva to go together. Because if your Winston Diva don't go together, your Winston's just going to die. Like, he'll get booped into Africa and he'll get chain CC'd and he will die. You need your Diva there to help peel for the Winston as he goes in. And then hopefully your Widow and backline to stand against the Winston and then kill, right? Like, you're playing a backline trade composition and you're not playing to trade your backlines. Instead, you're trying to counter dive and keep people alive. This is what we see here. The Winston goes in, the Diva doesn't follow, the Winston gets hard gibbed, and everybody dies. Which is really unfortunate. Like, RunAway had their Winston Bridget go forward with Diva, or sorry, not Diva, sorry, Winston Bridget on RunAway side went forward and killed the Ana, or killed the Ana in the backline and almost got the Widow. Like, that's crazy. Like, they literally just gave up their advantage of playing counter dive, or sorry, gave up their advantage of playing a trading backline comp to go and kill your backline, and you let them get away with it, and you also had your Winston die because you didn't commit. You just did like the worst of both options and didn't get any value on either of them. Okay, so T1w figures out the Widow probably wasn't the play, and they swap back to Kree. Fine, they rotate. It's good. Okay, so when you've been losing fights repeatedly, right, you don't want to just do the same thing you did for the last 4 fights in a row, because it's probably not going to work. So you want to try to do something different, which is what we see here. T1w goes, hey, that didn't work, let's change it up. They swap Kree, they play a different angle, they take a different pathing, they look to apply pressure from a different angle. I would have liked, let me... Right there, okay, that's a good angle. Okay, so rather than coming in like they did here, where they go point, I would have liked to see them go like this and push through blue, or wrap all the way around and flip the map. Both of those plays would have been really nice for them. Just do something to change the status quo, right? Or even path like this, come up the high ground, and then take the high ground here from Sitch. Like, that would have worked too. Just like, do something different that forces RunAway to make something change, right? Force RunAway to do something different to enable you to have a better chance, right? Because RunAway is going into this fight with a plan, right? They're like, hey, we're going to be doing this. But if you make them change how they're going to do that, it disrupts the plan, and they'll have to change the plan on the fly. Gives you a lot more value. Yeah, RunAway just sits on high ground for free. As soon as the dive comes in and leaves, they know Stitch is just fine. So everybody drops off high ground, basically, and just goes to fight low ground. Like, Bridget and Lucio are now free to fight on cart. They don't even have to worry about going or helping the backline and high, because you just used all your abilities and didn't get any value. So at this point, it's just like a free fight. Stitch does a late flank, which is good. Flanking as Korean's comp like is super situational, but that particular one was okay. He gets punished for it though, so not as okay. But the idea behind it was good. T1's using an even amount of ults with RunAway. End up capping too. Okay, so like I said earlier, Street Space is one of those situations where you kind of just need to keep throwing ults until you make it work. So they ended up just making it work by throwing ults and then punishing RunAway for overly aggressive plays. Stitch's idea of a flank was a good idea, but you went without help, so he got punished for that and was killed. Yeah, so overall, decent fight from T1w. Some pretty notable mistakes from RunAway that got punished. Coming into this next fight, both sides, or sorry, not both sides. T1w, did they just mind games him? Pretty sure they just mind games, right? Yeah, Stitch, okay, so Stitch swaps to Widow. Crystal swaps to Widow. Stitch realizes that Crystal swapped to Widow and swaps back to Kree. So, good play overall from them. Like we talked about, like, Widow is super situational this comp, and it's really hard to make work on third phase in particular, because you need the side angles to play into, like the long sight lines, and if you don't have long sight lines, it's kind of scuffed. Okay, so, yeah. Dude, RunAway's doing such a good job of punishing the Winston, and T1w just, like, really isn't doing anything to stop them from killing their Winston over and over again. They really just need to, like, realize the strength of their composition and play around it. They're just not realizing and following up on the win conditions. T1w needs to either hard engage as a death ball or play to counter the Winston. They can't do both, right? They can't hard engage with Winston and counter dive the other Winston at the same time and just leave your Winston to die. Like, you're just gonna keep losing. The only, like, there's certain situations where you can get away with having your Winston split from your team as a like split and not death ball in this composition, but that is not the case. That is not the situation. Trading diva bombs. Each side gets one support. Swapping Ryan here makes sense. If the other team's running their comp and they swap Ryan, you probably want to swap Ryan too. Because why make it harder for yourself than it needs to be? Yes, Winston can work, but can Ryan work? Yeah, and is it easier to run Ryan into Ryan than Winston into Ryan? Yeah. Stitch, or not Stitch, Janny doing a good job of just making sure the high ground's clear, making sure they're not getting flanked by anybody surprising. You never know when you surprise flank Deadeye might land and kill all your team, so good job on him to just play angles. Leaving the Ryan there is huge. You don't even want to wake him, you just want to leave him asleep for as long as possible and then bash him away like they did. You just stall as much time as possible. If RunAway just stalls this to LT and then they T1w caps, it's still really good for RunAway. Like, any situation where T1w doesn't cap or they cap with 0 time remaining is super huge, so in general, that is what RunAway's playing for. Hey, the flank Deadeye I talked about. Ooh, it was a trans to save people. Okay, that was actually a really big trans. Okay, so flanking Deadeye is a play. You typically don't want to go for really long flanks because really long flanks are really easily punished if the other team just looks around or walks around a corner. Both of which kind of scuff you. So, in that composition in particular, you want to be careful with your flanks so you don't get punished. Overall, a really good offense from T1w. I didn't think they'd cap first, so getting it to third phase is really impressive. Okay, so on defense, T1w running Soldier Pharah. Okay, so basically the same idea as what RunAway did, where they want the Pharah to be playing one angle and a Torb, or in this case, Soldier, to play a different angle. The only difference is Soldier's much more mobile, so he'll probably be rotating a lot and trying to help keep the Ana alive with the Seal Pack. That's probably the adaptation there. On the other side, RunAway's running a very aggressive full dive, so expect to see them basically into the other team and just rush them. What should happen here is the Winston D.Va will jump high. The Genji and the Winston D.Va Genji will all jump high, and the Tracer will play a flank going like through tunnels or something onto the back line, and then we'll apply pressure from there. So RunAway playing a full dive, T1w playing stationary comp. T1w trying to zone control, RunAway diving. Once RunAway gets an advantage, they should try to bring the fight to point and punish the tank line. The big purple, D.Va wasn't matrixing, so they got the purple off, which is bad. What Johnny was doing, but whatever he did was wrong. RunAway's still taking this fight is kind of eh. I mean, you're down your main tank. Like, this is just RunAway being overconfident. T1w not punishing them for it. Like, okay, so as a dive team, if you're diving into a stationary comp and you lose your main tank, you should lose that fight. So T1w should just be punishing RunAway here, focusing a target and killing it, and just snowballing them since they're staggering themselves for no reason. Instead, they just let RunAway players live and get a full tick and then get a re-engage, which is not what you wanted to happen there. So definitely a misplay on the side of T1w. They should have been much more aggressive with just walking and killing something. Doesn't even matter like what you pick to kill, just pick something to kill and kill it. Barrage gets no value, which is unfortunate. Visor doesn't get value, which is also unfortunate. Both DPS ults now have gotten no value. Yeah. Alright, so definitely not even a bad composition choice from T1w, just a very poorly played first point in general. Hammond doing the thing where he does nothing but stalls for a minute. Okay, so then RunAway should be swapping back to dive, yeah. Swapping the Kree was a counter to the Pharah and also help with Soldier. Makes sense. He swaps back to Tracer because they don't have the Pharah anymore. Also makes sense. It'll be interesting to see whether Stitch decides to... Okay, I was about to say. When playing Tracer v Tracer, the Tracer either mans the other Tracer or he just goes and does his own thing. So I was interested to see if Stitch decided to man the Tracer or if he felt like he wasn't that much of a threat. He could just go on the backline for free. That being said, T1w does swap to the Bridget, so I expect to see RunAway swapping their comp here soon, because, as we talked about earlier, playing dive characters into a Bridget is not very fun. Particularly when the backline of the other team is Mercy and a Bridge. That's pretty hard to kill into. I expect Haxel to try to get a Blade off and then probably swap comps if it doesn't work. That being said, Illusion gets picked off early. A good Primal to keep the Nano Soldier out of the way. Ooh, and gets... Okay, yeah, okay, so RunAway with a very good engage there. Minded sweet. Real. This right here is just fine. They're just peppering. They're setting up, trying to stop the engage. Again, note what we talked about last map, right? Where T1w isn't setting tempo, and because of that, RunAway is. And since RunAway is setting tempo, they're punishing them very hard, right? So watch. Right here, they're just poking. T1w doesn't set tempo, Contest cart. That's their first tempo move, right? At this point, tempo is neutralized, right? It's even. 50-50. Cart's contested, nobody's really doing anything. Poke's just being given back and forth. Now, the first team to make an aggressive move will be setting tempo, I should say, which is Stitch. Stitch gets on the backline and applies pressure to the Mercy before she can do anything, which means she dies. They nano the Soldier to help get value to reset tempo again and to try to nano Visor, but he gets pushed into room and killed. And at this point, the fight's just devolved him for RunAway. So, again, T1w not really doing anything to superset pressure. They're just kind of letting the tempo meet in equilibrium, and then not really doing anything once they have that, right? So it's not even necessarily that T1w is bad at like negating tempo. It's just that they're not good at setting the tempo. Like we saw that they're okay at negating tempo, but once the tempo was negated, they didn't really know what to do. They kind of just let the tempo sit there, and they didn't really do anything with it. So RunAway swaps to a Doomfist instead of a Genji. I like this swap. This swap makes sense. RunAway is doing a good job of just applying pressure on flanks. You know, Stitch just has blind angle. So like right here, right? What this is doing is since Stitch is playing this side, like right here, that means the Bridget for T1w can't be playing with his backline. He has to be zoning the Tracer the whole time, right? Like he just has to sit there and go like, no Tracer, you can't come on my backline. Which basically means that the backline for T1w is then much more exposed, because if the Bridget stops zoning Tracer, then the Tracer can go onto the backline with the dive. But if the Bridget zones the Tracer, that means the rest of the team can dive the backline for free. So it's a really awkward situation to be in as the backline for T1w. That was not the play to be made there from Haxel. Punished for it. That being said, Winston overextends and gets punished. D.Va's probably going to end up losing mech here. Getting hard pocket though, so maybe not. Oh, they do have mana. Genu with a big D with him. Gets value. No idea how to value, to be honest with you. Diana shouldn't be playing in a position where she could die bomb there. Diana should be playing. Give me camera angle where I can point it out. Please, give me a good camera angle. Okay, there you go. Really bad angle, but whatever, will be good enough. Anna should be playing like there or there. Instead, she was playing like in the middle of the open, which is not what you want. You always want to be playing somewhere near cover, particularly against like their comp, right? Like they're running a Tracer, they're running a Doomfist, they're running a like D.Va, like all those characters you want to be somewhat able to play LOS against, right? Like you want to be able to like play Ring Around the Rosie against the Tracer. You want to be able to jump away from the Doomfist quickly enough so that you're behind a wall so he can't punch you or something. Like you want to be able to counterplay, but instead they just kind of played in the open. I don't know, maybe they're trying to play around the Doomfist and not get punched into the wall, but like Doomfist punch goes stupid far. Like even if you're playing in the open, you can still get punched into the wall. Nano Primal wants him to help stall for longer. Doesn't really end up getting a ton of value. He kind of just stays alive, which is good, but anyway, RunAway with 4 minutes on the clock is going to be a really hard hold for W. The big pulse, better Trank, really good purple. There should be a one fight here from T1. I don't think RunAway's gonna get a ton of value without them right there. Yeah, exactly. Nice. Okay, so really good fight from T1. RunAway definitely made some misplays in that. Stopping Ryan makes sense. Again, why make it harder on yourself when you can make it easier? Pseudo goats. Okay, I like the goats with Doom. I see it. I dig it. Basic idea here is they're going to be playing together. You're going to get the Ryan walking at the front line swinging, cleanse the purple with bubble, and they just kind of win. Or they bubble early for charge. That works too. Should probably be holding it for cleaning purple, but whatever. Ammon's just kind of being zoned. RunAway's just basically zoning people. Big D.Va bomb coming in. Value. This is like a very awkward fight to watch. The camera angles are pretty weird. RunAway's basically just like playing pseudo goods, right? So they're trying to deathball together and just sustain and kill one target. That being said, on the other way, T1w is just running like hard disrupt to try to punish RunAway for running goods. And it's working. I mean, they're definitely punishing him. Applying pressure with the right angles, doing the right thing. All that stuff. Okay, so 2 minutes left on the clock. Coming into this next one. RunAway has a grab, which is their saving grace. They should just try to grab whatever possible and kill him. There's a Bastion swap from T1, which I really enjoy. Bastion is very good against goats as long as he doesn't get ran on. So, as long as he doesn't just get into and die. Particularly the Pharah too. Like Bastion and Pharah is like a surprisingly good combo because like you have to deal with one or the other, right? Like either the Pharah gets free barrages on you or free ult charge to build barrage, or the Bastion just kind of sits there and just like zaps you for days. That being said, the barrage didn't really get value. There was split follow-up on the tanks engage. Pharah's committing deep solo by herself, and that's gonna be a C9, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I hate to see it. Okay, so a decent map. Not the same issues as last time for T1w, but some new issues arrive. RunAway also making some uncharacteristic plays that I'm not expecting to see them play at this point in stage. Very odd to have them take like poor compositional choices or split that much. Would expect better play from RunAway at this point. Okay, RunAway is on defense. T1w is on attack. RunAway is playing basically the same comp that we saw a lot of earlier. So they were playing the Kree counter dive, but with a Reinhardt instead of a Winston. It makes sense. Ryan's a little bit easier to hold chokes with on this point in particular. First point is pretty good, so running the Ryan instead of the Winston makes sense. Good job, RunAway. They're going to be playing the same style, so they'll either be speeding in and getting purples slash stuns to kill somebody, or they'll be playing for sustain, waiting for the other team to dive their backline and then killing them. On the other side, T1w is running. Okay, so they're running the. Dude, I really don't like this composition. This is the same composition that they ran on Nubani Attack first. And like I said earlier, it's a very awkward composition. Like, the Bridget is going to be hard anchor and cart here, but she doesn't get a ton of value unless she swings, which basically means you're only using her for a 6-second heal, and if you're only using her for a 6-second heal in a cart bot, you might as well run a Zen or an Anna and have more value, right? Just a little awkward. The Mercy, of course, is just blocking the far edge spams, and the rest of the team is looking for engage angles from flanks. But it's just like super awkward, right? Because like if T1w, okay, so like Kree Stitch on Runaway, he's just gonna be hard shooting the Pharah. Like every time Pharah sticks up, she's just gonna get shot, right? Again and again and again and again and again. And she won't be able to get value, right? Unless the Mercy's pocketing her, which means that the rest of T1w won't have heals except for every 6 seconds, basically. It's just like a really awkward situation, like where if you don't pocket the Pharah dies, but if you do pocket the Pharah, the rest of your team dies. I don't know, it's just like, it looks like a comp that I'd seen in my ranked games, honestly. Where people are like, oh, we need a second healer, but we only have Mercy, and she's pocketing the Pharah. Okay, well, I'll go Bridget. But no, don't do that. Go like an actual healer, please. Oh, it's just weird. Yeah, like here, like, the Pharah gets shot twice, has to leave. Mercy has to pocket. Like, in T1w's credit, they're doing a very good job of juggling the damage so that they don't all get killed, but like still it's just very awkward situations. Swapping to Hammett I think makes a little bit more sense. It's the same thing as on Ninebarker though, where they really only have one fight, and if they screw it up they're gonna lose, or they have to reset at least. Runaway is really misplaying this though. Okay, so Runaway should have grouped together, and as soon as the Pharah went for the flank, just walked on the rest of the team. So Farah's over here, which means Mercy and Farah are both out of help, or both out of jump range, right? So they're over here, they're not doing anything. The rest of the team is sitting on cart, right? Just walk cart and kill the rest of the team. They literally can't punish you. They don't have a DPS. Right side, they don't have a healer. Like, their only healer is Bridget. Just group together, walk on the cart, kill something, and win. Don't sit here and try to, like, deal with the Pharah and deal with the rest of the team. Just, like, walk forward and kill them. Like, your whole composition is based around stuns anyways. Just go realize your composition's win condition and go for it. Instead, Daniel, like, overextends to try to push the Pharah out, gets back. They go for a scuffed Deadeye. Almost gets a kill, but doesn't. Pharah's still getting value. Yeah, okay, Runaway really misplayed that first point. It's super uncharacteristic of them, too. Normally Runaway is like a very intelligent team. They don't typically make really bad plays like that. It seemed like Runaway just didn't know what they wanted to have happen there, or like what to do, and players all had different opinions on what to do, and nobody called one thing to do. Like, you'd expect that mistake from like a lower end contenders team, right? Like where they're making good plays, but they're not making plays together, right? But like not from like, I don't know, not from a team with such a high caliber as Runaway. Doesn't make sense to see that. Okay, so this is all fine so far. Runaway's just doing a good job of disrupting, forcing ults. They trade beat for Trank, or sorry, they trade Trank for beat, which is a fine trade. Trading support ults is typically pretty easy to do, and not really that punishable. Make sure you're maintaining momentum, or maintaining equilibrium, right? Ooh, that's a nice bomb. That's an evaluation. Good idea though. Okay, so Runaway end up resetting. Swapping to the Widow here makes sense. They're just playing to A, counter the Pharah, and B, apply additional pressure. Like, if you're running the Widow, somebody on T1w has to deal with the Widow, which means that somebody isn't doing something else, right? T1w also swaps to a Bridget now. Bridget Zen Mercy. This is like still a super scuff comp. I don't know. It's like a very weird composition for T1. They're putting all their eggs into the Blade basket again here, so they're just going to hope their Blade gets massive value and play around that. On the other side, Runaway is going to be playing to disrupt the Blade with Primal, and Hack, and Purple, and Boop, and all their various disruptabilities, and then playing to reset the card after. Oh! Yeah, she dies there. That's really big. Really good job from Runaway getting that engaged, particularly with the Purple. Like, getting a Purple there is so huge. Again, like we said, T1w has ults, they could be setting the tempo, but instead they're letting Runaway set the tempo on them. Which is basically the story of this entire series so far, is that Runaway set tempo, T1w responded to the tempo, but responded poorly, or didn't respond in a way that negated it enough, and was punished for it. Ooh. Just getting out of dodge. Vice decision. Better to just live than to try to take the duel and maybe win. During this fight, T1w's EMP blading. That's their entire play. And hopefully it gets value. Runaway also swapped their Runaway also swapped their Lucio over to his Zen, which makes sense. Okay, so actually, all right, the reason it makes sense to swap off the Lucio, even though you know they have Blade, is because Blade isn't a threat if you don't let them Blade for free, right? So as long as you're actively setting tempo on the other team and applying pressure and denying them the ability to do anything with Blade, Blade won't be getting value. So because of that, you don't need the Lucio to counteract the Blade. You need something that can assist you in setting the tempo. And Discord plus Harmony is a very good way of doing that. So swapping to Zen there makes a lot of sense. Like, support swaps are actually super important, like, because it's very situational and very team-based, right? Like, if your team's having a very hard time setting tempo and you're not doing a lot, you're probably going to be swapping to, like, a Lucio or a Bridget or something, right? But if your team's doing a very good job of setting a tempo and being very aggressive, then you're probably swapping to, like, either an Ana or a Zen, right? Like, you're going to swap to something that gives more value to your team. A lot of issues that I see arise are where players don't realize they need to swap fast enough or don't think thoroughly on what they should be swapping, right? Which I am, of course, guilty of myself. Holy EMP that, man. That's such a fat EMP. Really good job from Haxel to get in there and not get punished. They should kill that Mercy. They should not be dying here, and they should be killing the Mercy. That is unfortunate. There she goes. Okay, I was about to say, she should really die for that. Yeah, T1w definitely overstayed there. Once you lose your Zen, the fight's pretty much over. You should be resetting, and even if you're trading, you should still be trading backwards and living rather than trading forwards and trying to sustain. Again, more of a more fundamental mistake there. Coming to this next fight, again, T1w still has their Blade. They really need to be setting tempo when pulling the trigger here, not letting the team set it. Bumper with another amazing play. T1w has a Lucio, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, they just swapped. So what they need to do is they just need to group on an angle, speed, and go. And, like, even if it means you need to use all your ults to win this fight, they need to do something to reset tempo, right? Because, like, if they just keep doing what they're currently doing, they will lose. So they need to break the tempo that's currently being set, and they need to do that by being aggressive. Even if that means over-ulting, they have to do that. Like we talked about earlier, too, like, it's street phase. On any street phase on any maps, you always want to snowball. Like, you don't want to be snowballed during streets. You want to snowball during streets, you don't want the snowball to be stopped. So even if that means that you have to overuse ults or use ults in situations where they're not necessarily the most valuable, like, it's still better to do that and to snowball through streets than this, where you get stuck and the tempo gets reset, and it's very hard to do anything. Streets is, like, as a phase, streets in any scenario where there is a streets phase, it is very hard once you've lost your snowball as the attacking team to regain the tempo because of the way it's laid out, right? So if we look at this, right? Here's cart, here's the capture point over here, right? In order for T1w to get an engage, they need to clear this high ground, they need to clear this high ground, and they need to make sure that nobody's playing these flanks, right? Like, those are the key flanks to look for. You look for the flanks, you clear the high grounds. Once that's done, they have to do that for every single high ground and flank for the rest of the map. Or for the rest of the streets phase, at least, right? So they have to clear this high ground, they have to clear that high ground, they have to make sure nobody's playing that flank, that flank. Like, there's so many different angles you have to look at, and there's so much that you have to do in order to play through streets phase efficiently. That's why snowballing is so important. Because if you're snowballing, what all you have to deal with is that door, and that door. And you hold those three doors, and they're not going to do anything. So, in general, on streets phases, you want to maintain the snowball for as long as possible, because if you don't, it's very hard to retake, and you have to drastically over-ult to reset tempo, or use a different tempo resetting method to reset tempo. That was scuffed, dude. Like, they're finally now using ults, but look at what the cart is. They're literally using ults where the cart was after they won their first fight in streets. Like, 2.5 minutes later in OT. And at this point, they're even not even going to win this fight. Like, RunAway's still going to win this fight. Like, they already traded favorably. They're already kiting and living. Okay, I don't know why Twilight decides to not drop there, but Twilight should have dropped and lived because they had Trank on low ground. RunAway should be winning this fight. Give me they don't. Okay, they're colossally screwing it up. Never mind, I take it all back. RunAway's goobers. Okay, so RunAway shouldn't have fed there, and they should have won that fight. If they played together and focused the same target, they would have been fine, and not died to a solo Genji. But instead they died to a solo Genji, which is kind of scuffed. Dano gets 3 mech off, which means they missed their stun, which is pretty big. You really can't be missing stuns like that. RunAway still maintaining cart presence during the stagger. T1 should win this fight. They'll just have to like actually use ults they really didn't want to use to have to win it, which is why RunAway is doing this. Again, it's just RunAway trying to reset the tempo, right? Like, T1w won a fight that they shouldn't have won, therefore they got tempo, and had a lot of it going into the next fight. To counteract that, RunAway is like super hard stalling this and forcing them to use a lot of ults. Like, even if T1w does end up winning this, they used literally every ult they have to do it. Which means that to going into the next fight of third phase, which is even easier to hold as a defending team, you're not going to have any ults at all. Which is just super scuffed for you. That being said, T1w is doing a very good job here of playing together in card and focusing targets. So, good on them. They do end up capping. Good job. Good job, T1w. They did it, boys. Okay, so going into this next phase, T1w is this unbelievably interesting comp. They're playing for a 3-3 split dive, I'd assume. Maybe a 4-2, if they really think the RunAway is going to be giving them that much of a backline pressure. Going the counter dive comp again makes sense, because like we talked about, stuns are good against Hammond, and Discords are good against tanks. They are running 2 tanks, so Discords are good. Bridget is also basically a tank, since she has full armor, so also good. T1 swaps to the... Okay, so this is really awkward. T1... Okay, so this is a really... I'm going to talk about this, because it's actually a really big point. So, there's a minute 18 left on the clock, right? So, they get 1 fight and a stagger. That's not a good color. Okay, so T1 has 1 minute and 18 seconds left on the clock, right? So at this current point, they have 1 real fight that should happen somewhere around here, and a stagger, right? Like, if they lose this fight here, they'll have another fight where the cart's like in between here and between these 2 axes, right? That's where the cart will be for the stagger fight, and they'll be coming in with respawners trying to win the fight. If they lose the first fight. If they win the first fight, then they'll have stagger fight over there at the corner. But nonetheless, they basically have to win between 1 and 3 fights, depending on how hard RunAway staggers, right? So, because of that, you have tempo right now. Like we talked about earlier, the team that has tempo is typically favored, so you should be trying to set tempo aggressively. So, I'd like to see T1w being very aggressive with the comp, looking to apply pressure and stop RunAway from getting the choke. That being said, RunAway swaps to a counter of what T1 is running. So, T1 has to make the decision, do we give up our tempo and give up time to play a composition that makes more sense into theirs, or do we play a comp that's unfavored into theirs, but maintain tempo control? And what we see here, if I can get the video to start playing, is that T1 decides to give up tempo and to reset and get a composition that makes more sense, rather than maintaining the tempo and trying to force the fight. Is it the right play? Is it the wrong play? I don't know. Depends on the situation, depends upon your team's idea, depends upon your coaching philosophy or ideology of playing Overwatch. There's a lot of factors that go into it. I'm not going to say whether I think it's right or wrong. I'll play. There are definitely both sides to the argument, though. At this point, that's unfortunate. Bridget plays split from the team and gets punished because that's what Recomp does. Bumper into the next universe we get to kill, so it's fine. And RunAway is just trading out favorably. Now, like we talked about, they have 1 more fight and then a very, very brief stagger. Okay, nope, they're just going to have a stagger by the time everybody's respawn, probably. So, they'll be retaking the point at like 15 seconds remaining is by the time they'll hit the cart, which means that they have to go to cart and they have to play together to cart. Also, the Genji here like is super bad in the RunAway's comp, but they're sticking it because he has a blade. Again, it's just one of those things. Do you keep the blade and hope it gets value? Do you swap because he's countered? Personal preference and team ideology thing. The beat gets off and the sun goes collected, but it doesn't matter because it's value. Bumper dies again. How does Bumper die there? We got a cam. Okay, so Bumper sets tempo. They react to the Bumper engaging by using Dragon Blade to reset the tempo, like we talked about. They beat to help keep everybody alive, but Bumper doesn't get the beat. If Bumper gets beat there, he'd live, but Bumper no get beat, so he dies. Unlucky. Okay, so then they get 1 stagger fight here for the side of T1. Or sorry, RunAway will have 2 stagger fights depending on how fast they stagger the cart, how fast they take cart to stop it. Crystal overextends and dies, which is bad. They get Nano Ryan to make space, which is good. Nano Ryan, of course, is compensating for player dying. Bumper goes for Shadow, which doesn't get value. This is all just like focusing card at this point. Crystal switches to her. I like the Reaper pick in theory. Reaper getting back to cart, however, is very slow. Yeah, like he just got here now. Kind of scuffed. They remech though, that's good. This fight's purely just about not feeding on both sides, basically. Like, RunAway just needs to trade favorably. As long as they trade 1 for 1, they win. And on the other side, T1 just needs to not die. Or if they do die, they need to trade like 2 for 1. But that's clearly not happening, so. Okay, good defense from RunAway for the most part. Their retake on streets for RunAway was very good, and they held streets very well for the most part. Definitely a misplay on that one fight. But overall, good streets phase. Third phase was fine. T1, very awkward streets phase. Decent play on third. And good play on first. RunAway, I'd like to see relook at their first point hold and fix it, and address the issues that came up in second and beginning of third phases, where they overextended and got punished for it. Or played ungrouped and got punished for it. Okay, we're looking at both sides' compositions. T1 is in love with the Pharah. I really don't understand why some teams... never mind. Okay, so Pharah here is fine. Not running a Mercy is okay. They're basically just gonna like orb her, and then like have Anna pocket her when she's out getting pressured. Of course, that means that you're giving another angle for your healers to look at, which means their attention resources divided, which means that your tanks will probably be getting pressured more, and you're just going to be having a harder time in general healing stuff. Running the Widow makes sense. They're just playing for 2 opposing angles. So T1's running a zone control comp with the Pharah spamming open angles, or sorry, the Widow controlling open angles, which pushes RunAway into enclosed angles, which is where Pharah can spam and get ult faster. On the other side, RunAway is running a Widow Genji, Tracer, solo support Lucio. Okay, so since they're running a solo support, that means they are going to be playing hyper aggressive because they need to win fights before they get staggered, or before they get damaged, basically. So expect RunAway to be playing very aggressive angles, looking for an engage, with the Widow playing complementing angle, trying to get damage in. All this is fine so far. We're just doing a good job of art. Look at the HP pool. Like, what the heck? What the heck? They let the dive get off too? That's actually good. Oh wait, did Twilight just do it and swap instantly? Am I an idiot? I am an idiot. Okay, Twilight went for some spawn chop and swapped. Get debated, kids. Okay, at this point, RunAway's just doing a good job of sustaining a cart, applying pressure. Great dive onto the backline, who are for some reason completely unprotected. When you have an Amazon backline, you shouldn't be dying to a solo instant like ever. Kind of not how that comp works. So definitely misplaying the point of T1's backline. Might have also been on the side of tanks too. Not really sure. It's hard to see what was happening there. At this point, RunAway is just staggering the ever-living crap out of T1, which is pretty good. Oh, JK, they nano the Winston. Nano Winston, okay, so, again, this is what we're talking about. Resetting tempo, right? RunAway had tempo. The nano Winston, that resets tempo evenly. Even if it doesn't get a lot of value, you stop the bleeding that you're doing, and you reset the tempo to a degree where you have a chance. It's like, only slightly RunAway favored now. But that being said, RunAway does a good job of controlling aggression and choke and punishes them for trying to path in and wins the fight. Really solid first point take from RunAway. T1 with misposition on the backline play and just some awkward positioning in general. Would have liked to see much faster resets from T1 and playing together more. Swapping creep comp, good. That is the counter that you want to see against RunAway's comp. Good job, RunAway, or good job, T1. RunAway is historically known as a team that will not swap just because they are better than you. They can make it work. Basically, RunAway's motto. So I expect to see them carrying on this comp for literally the entirety of second phase and probably into third. Maybe swapping one character around, but for the most part, most of them will stay. Even if it's suboptimal, they'll just play it anyways because they're better. That's their basic idea. Which is what we're seeing here. They're sticking it regardless. And they're just playing aggressive. Good job from them to be aggressive setting tempo like we talked about. It's like, this VOD review should honestly be just called tempo setting. Like, that's all we're talking about so far. This is them setting tempo and the other team not setting tempo. But it's very important, and we see it like basically winning or losing fights here. That one team is really aggressive setting tempo, one team is really not. One team is winning a lot more fights than the other team. Oh, Axel almost carried there. If he should have, he had dashed right because he just killed somebody. The Axel came. Okay, so he dashes, gets killed. Oh, he should have dashed the Kree. Yeah, that's definitely a misplay. Should have dashed the Kree. Dash the Kree, kill the Kree, win the fight easy. That being said, he probably didn't know the crew was like 40 HP, so probably was like, oh, if I dash, I'm gonna die. Oh, I think dashing there is the right play regardless. Because even if you dash, you might get over the ledge, which will mean that you can dodge the Diva Bomb. Yeah, I think dashing probably the right play there. Okay, RunAway doing a good job of, again, just carrying the momentum, being aggressive, setting tempo. Forcing T1 to use resources to stop them from getting more momentum. Super solid play overall so far from RunAway. Flip positioning and just kind of awkward engages from T1. Bumper goes in super ham with the primal, which is fine. Oh, Haxel too deep. So I would have liked to see after all those resources got used that Haxel and Bumper got out faster. Bumper ends up living, but Haxel doesn't. That's pretty detrimental to them. Like, if they commit that many resources to counterdiving you, you just like leave, wait for the resources to end, and then go back in. Like, yeah, like exactly like what they just did, but faster so they don't lose Genji. Bumper does a good job of living here. T1 does a bad job of punishing him. It's purpled and is overextended with low HP and doesn't die for it, which is something we hate to see. And that's another 1-5 for RunAway. That's a map. So, really split play from T1. Just in general, they had some really awkward positioning errors, some like just really weird situations. Very poor control of tempo overall. Alright, and on to the last map. Please, choosing to give Volskaya. Alright, and spoiler alert, last map of the series. Alright, Volskaya. Great map. Actually in the map pool. Feels good, man. We can actually look at this comp. I actually look at the map for like real reasons rather than just watching to watch. Alright, RunAway on the defensive composition, or defensive side I should say. And they're playing the Kree counter comp with a Zen Anna Bridget. Zen Anna makes sense. Again, you know, if you're playing trade backlines and you can play a more valuable backline, tend to be a good play. On the other side, T1 is playing... They're playing a pseudo Juicy Boost on wave comp, where they're running the Lucio Bridget engage, which means they want to be playing very aggressive with speed and stun. This Bridget only gets value on this comp if you speed into something and let her swing, so I expect T1 to take a high ground and then speed into them and try to run them. Winston with a great counter dive. Sorry about that dive. Might not have been it. Okay, so like we said, T1 sets up on the high ground, looks for an engage. Holy boop! What a god. 10 billion IQ gamer. Exactly what you want to see. Lucio player. You see 5 people all up on a ledge and you're like, ha ha ha! Might play the game now, let's go. Alright, so really solid attack from T1, realizing the strength of their comp and playing to its win condition. Same thing should be the idea here for T1 at this point. They should try to take high ground and then walk at them and kill them. If the tanks are overextended, walk the tanks and kill them. Basically walk at something and kill it. Look for a blade later in the fight, rally to sustain. The other side, RunAway is trying to build up Primal to disrupt their engage. Which they should be able to do. I don't think they'll really have an issue building up Primal. Okay, this is a bit of a misplay, but it works. I was gonna say, you don't want your Genji going in first with Blade without forcing abilities, but hey, they make it work. The jerk's on me. Wow, okay. This is a really clean attack so far from T1. Like, their composition isn't necessarily the most optimal comp, but they played it really well so far. Just very clean engages, very clean target focus, very good job of resetting the point, not overextending, just like really, really solid play. This is like literally the best map I think I've ever seen them play. Very, very clean so far. Hopefully they keep it up for the rest of the map. That'd be pretty good. And they're back to the Pharah. Okay, well, you know, wasn't too much to ask. Okay, so once again playing the same composition that hasn't worked once, at one point. They're playing Pharah, Sombra, Winston, Solo Tank, and Bridget, Lucio, Mercy backline. The Mercy is pocketing the Pharah. The rest of the team is looking to YOLO hard engage at choke. That'd be my idea at least. Because Lucio Bridge, again, only really getting value if you're playing with a tank, which means you have to be playing with your Winston. If you're playing with your Winston, you're probably going to be being aggressive. You have that little front line. You need to make use of it by setting tempo. Not letting them set tempo and then hoping to counter with your inferior tank line. On the other side, RunAway is running the same comp we talked about before, just a very aggressive classic dive comp. Ditch gets picked by the Bridget because the Bridget's a character. That was actually really heads-up play here from T1. They played the angle where Traces want to path and then stopped it. So you more like yeah, thanks. Yeah. Good engage. Or good punish onto the Tracer. 10 out of 10 would do again. Switching to the Kree makes sense. Okay, yeah, counter dive. There we go. They did it! They did it! Very good play from RunAway. They figured out, hey, look, we can just punish them by going counter dive comp. And then we just walk at them. They kind of just die. And they're like, oh wait, that's a good idea, we should do that. And then they decide to walk in a close room without matrixing against Tafara, who gets spammed. But it's okay, because T1 also decides to walk into a room where they have 2 stuns still alive and give Bridget value and get stunned. Okay, so both these teams just decide to make really dumb errors for no reason. Okay, so passing in here, your diva as RunAway, 100%, every single time. Every single time should be the last person in, and she should be matrixing the backline. If you lose your backline, you're going to be really scuffed. Don't lose your backline. Keep the backline alive. Be matrixing. This is the first mistake we see here. Team is half HP for supports. Supports get healed up. Big. First rocket lands on 3 out of the 4 squishies. Bring all of them to half HP. They commit, or T1w commits because they're saying huge damage, basically. Janu still doesn't matrix the rocket and dies. Janu with the reaction times of the snail for no reason. Very bad misplay from Janu. Janu does a good job of inting into the fire to keep her from damaging the rest of the team more, forcing Mercy to pocket her. Then the rest of T1w, for no good apparent reason, decides to stay close to a bridge comp and use their, your bitrate is too high. Your stream look like essential? Really? That is unfortunate. I will have to fix that. Anyways, so T1 misplay uses abilities to engage onto a team that is punishing you. Should not be doing that. And RunAway also doing the bad of pushing poorly. And not matrixing. More importantly, not matrixing. But they ended up winning anyways, so it doesn't matter. Alright, I'll fix it after the stream then. Oh, you're right, it is dropping frames. Oh. It's pretty unfortunate. Alright, so far, okay, so for this next fight, going into this next fight, now that RunAway has taken the point, they just need to slowly apply pressure to point, make sure their backlines in secure positions, and then just have their tanks take point, build up nano, have your tanks engage, basically is the easiest way to do it. On the other side, T1's running for an EMP. They're just going to try to get an EMP and get value. Really good job building that EMP, actually. That EMP is not the most value. EMPing Bridget, not really going to do anything, and EMPing Lucio is good, but not when there's a Bridget sitting next to him, and both of them have nade on them, and there's no other free healing. At that point, you kind of lose. Against RunAway's comp, you want to, like, EMP the Lucio when he is beat, or the tank so they can't do anything when they dive. Like, counter-diving with EMP is actually more efficient. So, a really good time from both teams coming into this fight. At this point, it's just going to be a stagger, which we're going to clean up because RunAway's not that much of viewers. They should be able to clean up our stagger. Yeah. Okay, so, overall, good play from RunAway. I'll just punish, honestly. Like, I don't know. T1 ran a really scuffed comp and got punished for running a really scuffed comp. Now they figured out they were running a really scuffed comp and are running even more scuffed comp, which I didn't think was possible, but they're doing it. Okay, so, the basic idea here behind T1's comp is they're running a Hammond to counter goats, a diva to peel for the backline against dive, and a Bridget to help play to trade backlines against dive, with a widow to kill squishies. Oh, nice. And so just sheets again. No matrix again. Lucky. Janu's matrix has actually been like super scuffed. Maybe, okay, to be fair, maybe that one was just on bumper for being an idiot and overextending and getting punished for it, but time between him getting headshot and him dying, I feel like was more than adequate to hit a nade and or matrix on him, but maybe I'm crazy. Swapping double sniper against single sniper makes sense. Both of those snipers are also very good into Hammond because, you know, damage boosted with Discord Stormbow kind of just one-shots Hammond, so pretty good. Here guys, oof, unlucky. Okay, so going into this fight, RunAway needs to apply pressure to point and focus on the same targets. If they don't do that, they're going to have a very hard time. Okay, so that's one down. Nice. RunAway just needs to slowly bring the fight to point without dying. Play together, focus targets, don't feed. All they need to do. They should be killing the Hammond on point here. Like super free low. Yeah, such as just a free angle to ping the backline. Backline can't do anything if they peek, they die. Yeah, okay, so good play overall from RunAway on their first point attack. T1, again, like, T1's just running such awkward compositions that don't really make sense. And they play them very awkwardly while they do. Yo, Javion, thanks for the follow. I don't know. Really awkward play so far from T1. But I really preferred to see them, like, run more standard compositions, or at least run their comps in ways that make sense. Like that, like, you just can't peek Widow angles. Like, you see the Widow pre-firing, you should be calling the Widow out, and then just, like, not peek it. So awkward. Like, the balls on point is a good play, but, like, it just doesn't get value because they punish you. Yeah, RunAway just does a very clean execute. I really hope that T1 has a much better offense than they've had defenses, because their first offense was really good, but both their defenses have been terrible. Let's go ahead and look at the attack from T1. Okay, so they're running the same comp they ran on attack last time, which worked really well for them. Again, to reiterate, with this composition, they need to be taking the high ground and speeding into the enemy team, looking to get the Bridget value, right? If the Bridget's swinging on the enemy team, you're getting value. That's what they're going to be looking for here. RunAway running a classic dive comp that we've seen a lot of in Contenders Korea. Nothing too crazy here. Same rotation as last time. I'd like to get an angle of the backline for RunAway because they should have moved already, knowing that what was happening. Yep, good job. So RunAway preemptively moved their backline into a safe position, super deep where they can't be walked at. They're just going to keep rotating their backline around so they don't die. At this point, RunAway's just going to punish the isolated players from T1. Yep. All good. Even if they lose a player there, that's fine. They're still trading up favorably. Actually, they lost both their supports. This is going to have to be bad for RunAway. They have to not feed and just live. They win this fight as long as they don't die. Your coaching made shy. Get online for my coaching, unluckily. Okay, yeah, you can just join my coaching server. Get my coaching for free. Making emoji. Alright, RunAway's doing everything that they basically need to do here, which is just not feeding. Please, Axel, don't make me fire that fast. Okay, whew, okay. Axel scared me for a second there. This is all fine so far from RunAway. Losing Janet's mech there is pretty big. Trading blades. EMP on the trading blades. Oh, dude, that was so dirty by Haxel. Holy, okay. Watch this. They bait the trade for blades here. This is actually super sick. Okay, so blade, kill Lucio. The other one didn't get anything. Or he gets Twilight, rather. He gets his Zen. Now, Slime backs up, right? And watch. Haxel stands still. Waits for him to come in and kill him. That's actually 10 billion IQ. He doesn't even kill. Oh, it's such a good play. Actually crazy good. Like, I'm boggled by that. That was insane. Such a heads up play on both those players. Like, Slime realized like he could run to his blade to stay alive. Haxel realized he didn't need to chase and he could just wait for the Genji to commit and then kill him. Like, oh, such good play. That's like what I love to see in Overwatch, where people just make really intelligent plays. Coming to this next fight, T1's playing for an EMP. They have to EMP the Zen. If they don't EMP them, they're just gonna lose. Even solo EMPing it is worth. Why would you not? You should have just EMP'd him. You should have just EMP'd and killed him, rather than trying to not EMP. Oh, that's an awkward time to have to reload. That's very unfortunate. Okay, so T1 has a good engage here. What? Can we take a second to appreciate this fight, okay? Let's pay very close attention to this ult that this guy could have used to solo EMP his Zen with Trank and instantly kill him, right? Let's just make sure we pay attention to this ult that he uses. So, rather than solo EMPing the Zen and killing the Zen for free, look who he hits. He hits 0 people. Wait, does RunAway win this fight too? There's no way RunAway wins this fight, right? Please tell me RunAway doesn't win this fight. Wait, why didn't he kill the Zen? T1, what are you doing? Okay, so solo EMP, bad. Not killing the Zen, bad. Or sorry, not solo EMP. Getting 0 people in your EMP, bad. Not solo EMPing the Zen, bad. Not killing the Zen at 2 HP when he's by himself, also incredibly bad. I don't know what T1 is doing. Who even are these guys? T1? They're a Chinese contenders team. They did pretty well with Chinese contenders, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I mean, okay, to be fair, is a Chinese contenders team playing against an Owl team. So, like, obviously they're not going to do as amazing. Like, RunAway is one of the best teams in the world. Not too surprising to see them not doing super amazing. Like, even, like, with how well they're doing is actually quite surprising. I didn't think they would get any points, like, on Koth, and I didn't think they would win a map. And they almost won a map. Pretty impressive. Like, it's more, they just need to not, they're, like, really hurting themselves by running, like, really awkward compositions. Like, here, they could have just swapped pre-comp and just, like, super hard punish RunAway. And they would have, like, a really hard time getting any value. But they just decided to stay the same comp again and again and again. Because it almost worked. Which, I mean, mostly almost worked because RunAway positioned like dummies. They're making really weird mistakes too. I mean, it's just probably stuff they haven't been punished for, you know? Like, every region's different, right? And every region punishes things differently. Like, some regions don't punish things at all, right? Like, in NA, you can be completely unpunished for something that would be punished every single time in, like, Korea or whatever. Stage fright? It could be. I mean, it is the grand finals of a pretty big tournament, you know? Finals of a big tournament, a lot of people watching, playing against one of the best teams in the world, probably about to go to Owl. Pretty big nerves, you know? Might be. Bumper goes down early, they try to save, but he doesn't get value. Really weird fight here. Like, they're committing a lot of ults. RunAway's just kind of like kiting and just being split. Server 3 has left the game. Lucky. Yeah. What? Ow. The Axel dies. Okay, so Stitch dies. Diva Bomb comes over the top. Why didn't he just walk forward? Can't see it, dude. Yeah, I'll change the bitrate for next one. Okay, I don't know why people are dying. Nobody should die to that Diva Bomb. That's a super easy Diva Bomb to avoid. Like, all of you guys are by cover. Just walk to cover. Walk to cover level. Okay, so T1 definitely should have won first point, like, every single fight, basically, because RunAway misplayed every single fight so far, really badly, but for some reason T1 just gets an advantage and then decides, rather than playing together and focusing a target, they decide to split and not focus targets, or die to ults they shouldn't be dying to, or just randomly get soloed by something. So, bit of a misplay on the side of T1 here. Should have been playing together more. Axel getting huge value. Winston dies. It's really big too. Yeah, this is just super easy for RunAway at this point. T1 super nervous. They're gonna be all up in their feelings. RunAway has all the tempo in the world. Gonna be sketched for going to be sketched for T1 in this next fight. They need to play together, get a huge Diva Bomb, and rally to heal, and just like turtle on point to save their lives, basically. Punish RunAway for overextending. Yep, there you go. Force out the primal. That's good. Play together. Focus down something. You're killing the Genji here. Genji was super overextended with no dash. Okay, don't kill the Genji. That's fine. Just group together and go to point. Diva Bomb over the top. Oh no, this is Diva Bomb. He doesn't get value, right? Okay, they all split and die. Alright, well, you remember how I said T1 needed to group together, focus the target, and then go point? They kind of didn't group together, they kind of didn't focus the target, and they definitely didn't go point. And that should be the map. I don't think they take it with 16 seconds left, with EMP coming back. Pretty sketched. Maybe they make, like, a huge blade play. They get slime? That's really big? No, not too much. Yeah. Really? Okay, so overall, T1 looked like a very surprisingly good team. Did a lot better than I would have expected for the most part. Where I see them having issues the most is they... Did they win this Olympics, right? Yeah. No, okay, so they don't lose. They do not win this, I should say. Okay, so at any rate, T1 looked a lot better than I would have originally expected. That being said, they had some very weird composition choices I don't agree with. I think they probably should have either stuck to more meta compositions or better realize the win conditions of the various comps they played. They should have also been faster swapping those compositions to counter what RunAway was running. That being said, I think overall, I mean, honestly, their play wasn't even that bad, right? Like, they just made some basic errors, some pretty fundamental misunderstandings of how to play comps. Like, I think if they refine their composition choices, refine the playstyles around those compositions, and work on better controlling tempo or resetting tempo, I think they'll be a pretty strong team, honestly. Could definitely see them winning more tournaments in the future, and obviously doing very well in contenders. Other players were obviously very skilled, so needs to iron out some basic composition and tempo setting control, and they'll be fine. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's how our play was a little sketchy too, but not the biggest deal in the world. Okay, but that's the set. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. I'm gonna go try to fix my OBS so it actually doesn't drop frames constantly. Yeah. Thanks for stopping in, boys. Nice watching a VOD with you. Have a nice day.